Welcome to the live, in-person, and live Zoom worship service for the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning now is number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
Simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis the gift to be gentle, 'tis the gift to be fair, 'tis the gift to wake and breathe the morning air, and every day to walk in the path we choose. 'Tis the gift that we pray we may ne'er come to lose. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting our services to YouTube for our virtual attendees. I am Alec Peck, the chair of the worship committee, and I will also be your worship associate for today. Other members of the worship committee that you'll hear from who make this service possible include Adam Wedeking, who will be monitoring our visual and online connections, and Kate Lewicki in the back, who is in charge of our sound system. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. Today's service will revolve around the theme of autumn. We come together this morning with open minds and open hearts to remind one another that we are connected in mystery and miracle. We have come here to explore different spiritual perspectives together, to celebrate the sacred circle of life, and to learn to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Thank you for joining us here today. But first, I would like to ask you to join me in a moment of silence for the devastating conflicts occurring across the world today as we pray for peace and justice. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you. Now, before we move into the rest of the service, there are a few brief announcements that I would like to share. We will mention a few email addresses, websites, phone numbers, and other things, but we will leave all that information up on a slide at the end of the service, and it's also available on our website. Our upcoming yard sale will be held this Friday and Saturday. It will be on November 3rd and 4th, and we'll begin setting up on Friday morning, 6 a.m., bright and early. And it will be on the lawn. Hopefully, we'll be set up. You can come and see the yard sale from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can ask Linda or Kate to sign up to help. UUCR's semi-annual congregational meeting will be held on next Sunday, November 5th. It will be here in the sanctuary at noon after the service, and all church members are welcome. Sandwiches will be served next week as well for the first Sunday luncheon, and that will be right before the congregational meeting. Contributions, are welcome and will be donated to the church fund. Also next Sunday, November 5th, we'll be sharing a poetry-themed service. So I invite you all to bring in a special poem. It could be written by yourself, by someone you know, or simply one of your favorite poems, anything that means something to you that you'll have an opportunity to share if you'd like. And that will conclude today's announcements. Oh, Grace. I would like to invite Dave from the Wicca group to make an announcement.
I hope most of you know my name is David. And hi, I'm David. I am with a group of Wiccas. And at this time of the year, we look for our people that in our family that has passed over, our friends passing over. And so what we do is we take a table and put out pictures of people and things that they've had and things that make you think about the people that we love and that have passed. And I would like to help us with that and to bring your pictures to the people that you love and have passed over. And we'll have a big piece of paper that you can go to, and I hope you'll enjoy of doing this, looking at our families. And actually, I've been here a year and a half, and I think I'm pretty much with a family of you here. And I'd like to try to do that, and you can do that for them. Thank you. Oh yes, it's next Sunday. It's going to be after Halloween and after the Day of the Dead. And then we can do that. Look at what our family does, and I'd like to see other people's family, and it's that time of the year. We're going to put a table in the back where you were working with, and then just put them there, and we'll have that for the what we're the things and looking at things.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you can take your seat. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow and deep breath as we move into the worship hour. And you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Our sermon today was written by Patricia Motley for the October 31st, 2005 issue of UU World, the magazine of the UUA. A playwright and award-winning theater director, Patricia Motley teaches in the Odyssey program at Johns Hopkins University. She is a member of the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore, and she is the author of In Nature's Honor, Myths and Rituals Celebrating the Earth from 2005. Autumn is a season of change. When the earth tilts away from the sun and the day grows shorter and colder, autumn is at once symbolic of plenty, ripening, harvesting, and abundance, and at the same time, a symbol of decay, decline, and death. Many cultures celebrate this season with traditions and rituals that reflect our fascination with the mystical and the magical, and honoring those who have passed over to the other side. Today, we will explore this rich time of year. We have two lightings of sacred flame. The first is the occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle, and the second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups, including the Cahuilla, the Copeño, and the Serrano, and we light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be a part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. And today's reading for the chalice is The Balance We Seek by Sharon Wiley. The hours of the day and night are in balance. In honor of earth-centered traditions that celebrate this time of year, we observe that the flaming chalice holds the elements of the four directions: earth, air, fire, water. The lamp oil for the earth, the air that feeds the flame, the fire we light, and the chalice itself, the cup, the symbol of water. We light our chalice and reflect upon the balance we seek in our lives, the balance we seek in our hearts, the balance we seek in our world. Thank you, Bill. We have a tradition here at UUCR. We welcome those who are visitors or perhaps those who have returned after some time away. But we know that it can be uncomfortable to stand and speak in front of others. And so I would like to ask for a volunteer from our congregation who has been here a while to give us your name and how you originally found out about our church. I ask that you come and step close to the microphone and speak into it clearly and directly so we can hear. But please be aware that you'll be on our Zoom camera and on the recording of the service, which will be posted online. But can I ask for a church member to volunteer to introduce themselves this morning? Thank you, Sandra.
Okay. My name is Sandra Verhagen, and I found this church by accident. I was looking for another speaker, and I wandered in here, and I liked what Matthew had to say, so I stayed. And I want to share a thought with you. What would happen if we treated everyone we met like they were our best friend? Can you imagine? Think about it. Not like they were family, but our best friend.
Great job. Thank you, Sandra. And that's exactly how it's done. So if you would like to, if you are a visitor, an old friend, please raise your hand and we'll ask you to step close to the mic at the pulpit. And so if there's anyone who would like to introduce yourself, please raise your hand. And if we can also call on you by Zoom as well. Please let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you found out about us. Adam, are there any visitors on Zoom? Well, who? With their hand raised, yes. Marshall, can I ask you to introduce yourself, please?
I'm Marshall Harvey. I came here from New England in 2014, and I attended the Universalist Church when I was in grad school in Chicago many years ago. Before I mostly attended the Quaker Church.
Great, thank you very much, Marshall. And yeah, welcome, and we're glad that you are here with us.
Thank you.
And for any other new guests, please join us for socializing and for the coffee hour after the service. We would love to chat with you out in the parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. You can leave your name before you leave so that we know you were here, and you can leave your contact information if you'd like to know about upcoming events. And for those online, the best way to be added to the mailing list is to email our church office, which is admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. Our hymn now is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, from the Teal Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand in body or spirit, and join us in singing number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
We are blessed with love and
SOS, or Sharing Our Spirit, is an annual program to help families in need during the holiday season. All of the income from this fundraiser goes into our designated SOS fund. Our goal this year is $2,500. We will be taking donations for this program today. Please mark all donations to this fund as SOS. You may write this on the subject line of your check or place cash contributions in these specially marked envelopes, the small ones on the pews, and write SOS on them to place them in the offertory plates. If you'd like to help us reach more families this holiday season, UUCR will graciously accept monetary contributions and donations of new or gently used toys, clothing, packages of new underclothings, socks, blankets, toiletries, etc. All monetary donations and donated items are tax deductible. Thank you for your support. And this portion of our service is also to support our historical church. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you can send your checks to the church address, which is shown behind me, contribute by PayPal using the QR code also shown here, as well as on the church website and on the newsletter. Stater Brothers also gives our church a rebate on Stater's grocery cards, which we have in the church each Sunday, and Amazon cards of a similar type are available. You get the full value of the card, but the church also gets a percentage of that for free. Please see Donna or Roe or Robert Ron in the church office if you're interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever means, methods work best for you. To those who give their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. And to all of those who have joined us today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please step forward to help receive the collection? And we will also have a small tote bag for food and hygiene items to distribute to those in need. Thank you, Bills, for collecting the bills. Our meditation, yes, thank you. I'll be here all week. Yeah. Our meditation today is a responsive reading entitled So We Go by Patrick DeSimio. And you are invited to read the bold. Oh, goodness. I've skipped over the hymn. Sorry, we can go back. Thanks. I scrolled right past it. I'm so sorry. First, we will sing together. From you, I receive our song of thanks. Please stand and join in singing with me. From you, I receive number 402 from the Gray Hymnal.
From you I receive, to you I give.
And now our meditation today is the responsive reading titled So We Go by Patrick DeSimio. And you are invited to read with me the italicized lines which are projected on the screen. Come as the summer turns toward autumn. Come as the long night stars climb higher. Come as the time's unceasing turning wheels us round the harvest fire. So we go from daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. Come as the sun turns bearded barley, from soft green to a brazen bronze. Come as the sunflowers rest their heads in the peace of sleep while the sun spins on. So we go from daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. Come as mistakes turn into wisdom. Come as the rash become the sage. Come as the blooms of youth grow into the feast and seeds of our autumn days. So we go from daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. We have come together at this most sacred time of year when life and death stand in balance in their endless dance. Let us take a moment to think about what is in balance in our lives. And to balance that out, let us dwell for a moment on what could be more balanced than it has been lately. Let us hold this balance between light and dark, yin and yang, life and death, as we pause for a moment of reflection on these words. Thank you. And now I would like to invite up our speaker, Ren Mansour, who will be reading for us The Festival of the Dead, Rituals and Roots by Patricia Montley.
Good morning, everyone. Although in the minds of most modern people who celebrate it, Halloween is now a secular holiday that has lost its religious association with saints and souls of the beloved dead, there are still many people around the globe who celebrate festivals of the dead, many of them at this time of year. Wiccans around the world regard the Feast of Samhain, October 31st through November 1st, as the most important of their 4 quarter days. A common ritual is the Dumb Supper, which Anne Lafferty describes in A Seeker's Guide to Modern Witchcraft and Paganism. The table is laden with potluck dishes. There is a place setting for each person present, as well as one in front of an empty chair. This place is for the beloved dead who are being honored by this meal. The first plate filled is given to them. The living eat in silence, thinking about their ancestors and others they cared about who have passed on. When the meal is over, the leftover food, including the food that was on the plate for the spirits of the dead, is taken outside and placed on the ground. Participants might then tell stories or share memories about their beloved dead or sing a song honoring them. Sometimes the food prepared for the supper includes favorite dishes of the departed, in whose honor the ritual is observed. Since the late Middle Ages, the dead have been remembered in Christian countries in Europe and elsewhere around the globe in formal church services on All Souls' Day. Although fear of roaming spirits was officially declared superstition, pagan beliefs and practices persisted. In Germany, for example, when peasant farmers harvested the hay and brought it to the barn, they broke the first straw and offered it as food for the dead. Even today in Latvia, after the fall equinox festival of Mikkeli, a quiet shadow period begins. At this time, according to Mara Melina of the Latvian Institute, the shadows, spirits of the dead, visit the farmsteads to look over the life of the household and to bring blessings for future life and work. One of the most elaborate festivals at this time of year is El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, observed on November 1st and 2nd in Mexico and other Latin American countries. Typically, infants and children are remembered on the first day and adults on the second. Here, the dead are not feared, but welcomed, combining Roman Catholic rituals of All Saints and All Souls Days with millennia-old Mexican Indian traditions. The holiday includes solemn religious rites, such as masses and prayers for the dead in church. There is also feasting in the home, where scattered petals and burning incense invite the spirits to enter and partake of their favorite foods and special bread, hojaldra, which have been set out on tables or home altars decorated with flowers and photos of departed family members. What is not consumed by the dead provides a festal meal for the living. The leftovers from that meal may be taken to the cemetery and laid on the graves of ancestors, or distributed in the community. The event includes processions, pageantry, elaborate food, bright decorations, and even fireworks. While this is a time of mourning for the beloved dead, the pervading atmosphere is one of fiesta. Cakes and candies in the shapes of skulls, skeletons, coffins, and gravestones sweeten the concept of death, perhaps reminding those who eat them of the sweetness of living in heaven, as well as in the memories of one's descendants. Some families keep candlelight vigils through the night at the grave sites of their dead and attend open-air memorial masses. While sophisticated North Americans are tempted to view some of these practices as primitively morbid at worst or quaint at best, Peter Morales cautions us in his sermon, Bringing the Dead to Life. If we dismiss the Day of the Dead as pure superstition, we can easily miss the profound spiritual and psychological insight that makes this tradition powerful. A Mexican boy spending the night at his uncle's grave has a connection across time with his forebearers that our children do not. While we dwell in a technological age connected to the World Wide Web, cellular phones, and cable TV, While we have message machines, voicemail, pagers, and call waiting, we have cut ourselves off from the web of time. Traditional cultures, with their mediums and ghosts and reincarnations, have understood intuitively something we've repressed. The dead don't die, they live on. For Hindus, the dead live on when their souls are reincarnated in other bodies. One of the major festivals of Hinduism, and possibly the only one that is truly pan-Indian, is Diwali, the Festival of Lights, which is observed with temple services that include singing and recitations from sacred texts, celebrated on dates in the lunar calendar that correspond to late October and early November in our Gregorian calendar. It marks the official end of autumn and the beginning of winter. In Upper India, Diwali also marks the beginning of the commercial new year. People clean their homes, light oil lamps, and set them in rows along the parapets of houses and temples, or float them in rivers. They invoke Lakshmi, goddess of fortune and prosperity, to bless their homes and businesses as they open new account books. They wear new clothes, visit friends and family members to exchange gifts, and set off fireworks. But in Bengal, Diwali honors the goddess Kali, the 5 millennia old creator, preserver, destroyer of the universe, the womb and tomb primal mother found in so many ancient religions. Her breathing is the pulse of the universe, for she is at once the menstrual sea of blood that gives birth to the world and the fierce, emaciated hag whose primordial hunger must feast on animals and humans to replenish the energy that drives the cosmos. Thus, she is often depicted wearing a necklace of skulls, her hair wild, her tongue red with blood, dancing ecstatically on cremation grounds, gathering up souls to be seeds for new life. In this destroyer mode, Kali may well be our worst nightmare, the nightmare we must come to grips with, for in facing her, we face our own terror of annihilation. As Monica He and Barbara Moore remind us in The Great Cosmic Mother, primitive peoples seemed to understand that life and death are the same. It was a paradox they strove to be conscious of, just as we strive to escape it. Moderns, who neither kill nor grow their own food nor bury their own dead, would seem to have solved the problem by avoiding it. But in fact, the resolution is simply delegated nowadays to nightmare, slaughterhouses, torture rooms, death squads, and snuff films, in which criminal priests perform obscene sacrifices to the gods of displaced responsibility. For early peoples, the paradox was somehow made bearable through ritual expression of their fury, which often took the form of bloody sacrifices to the death deity. For us, the paradox remains unbearable, and yet, despite our best efforts, inescapable. So we try to trivialize it. The hags on our Halloween cards and costumes are domesticated reminders of the Wiccan wise women who served as midwives and morticians, who themselves represented the hallowed and harrowing goddess of womb and tomb, of life and death. The ghosts and goblins and grim reapers who people our parties and parades are fun versions of the very serious destination that we know deep down we cannot escape. Such trivialization may put the paradox at arm's length, but it does not resolve it. Yet, perhaps it is not too late for us to return to ritual, for that resolution. We cannot, to be sure, revert to the bloody sacrifices practiced by some of our ancient ancestors, but perhaps we can embrace other kinds of rituals that will, whether we believe in a personal afterlife or not, enable us to find comfort in the understanding that life and death are one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ren. And now to finish us off, well, before benediction, our closing hymn first is number 1074, Turn the World Around, from the Teal Hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you and stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1074, Turn the World Around.
Come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? See what I know. Do we know who we are? See we one another clearly. See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit. Only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life. Abatiwa. So is life.
Embrace this time, the change of light, with shorter days and longer nights. The wheel has turned, the time will change. The darker side of Earth remains. There's magic in the lunar light, with institution at its height. Intuition at its height. The alchemy of Mother Earth. From birth to death will come rebirth. The cycle of nature, unbroken and true, bestows peace of mind and well-being to you. Namaste, Amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Ren, for reading our sermon for us and for finding that article and taking the time to do that. We sincerely appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you again. We will now adjourn to the parish hall for further fellowship. And if you'd like to stay in the service for a few moments afterwards to share your thoughts or reflections, we will have the mic available. But thank you for being here and have a great Sunday. Yes, Grace.
So what I liked about this service is that death is not seen as a totally negative thing. We know very little about what is on the other side. And of course, that's also scary, but at the same time, it's mysterious and it's part of life. And I think remembering the people who have passed out of our lives is also a way of celebrating life.
I love this sermon, but one of the things I'd like to point out is that when people cross over, as long as you hold them in your heart, they're never really gone. And I love that you have marigolds because the scent guides the spirits to us. I have a gift for you. You have a sermon on wildlife. It was so good. Oh, it was a part of it. But I think they're going to look at it.
Thank you, Sandra. The Buy Nothing, Get Everything plan. Great title. Discover the joy of spending less, sharing more, and living generously.
It's applying to a sermon you gave, I think, back in April or May.
Okay.
Yeah, it was something else.
Sounds good. Bill. Hi, Alan.
Especially if you've got a few Eastern roots or people who have Eastern United States roots. The thing about this time of year is all the little rituals that stack up. The cup of hot chocolate that you've been putting off that all of a sudden is in your mug right now. The wind actually blowing, and a lot of the time when we talk about the fearsome weather out here in California, it's like, okay, I have to pretend I'm frightened now because of the thunderstorms that aren't here. And when we get all the ritual that actually forms up, I mean, look at that pumpkin over there. Sunlight, the good earth underneath it. And all of a sudden, the promissory note that was written in that pumpkin seed comes out as this honking big thing, good enough to feed a small family. The thing about this time of year, the idea of harvest in general, is the idea that this is when the ritual kind of pays off. It turns into something that's not just potential. And, you know, one of the ways that different faiths tend to insult each other is to say, you have empty rituals. And it's like, this is a time where, like, that honking big pumpkin right here, it's like, no, I'd say that's a pretty hefty miracle, that this thing that we do and this payoff that we get is right up under in our face. And it's pretty cool. The first cup of albondigas for the cold weather, I'm wearing a second shirt on because it could have been just windy enough to put a chill to me. All the little things that stack up, busting out with flannels, reading Ichabod Crane to the little ones or whatever the story is. So it's the whole thing stacked up. I like it this time of year because this is when things are all of a sudden manifesting with heft to them, and you're being slowed down enough to where you can actually enjoy the holiday.
I have taken up quite a bit more gardening since I moved out here to the desert and taken care of a variety of desert plants, succulents, and cacti. And seeing them live and die under my care has made me think a little bit about that cycle, and especially in what it means for I find myself sometimes thinking about how different it would be to live as a plant, in that if your arm shriveled off and died, that would be a pretty horrifying experience for most humans. But this is just what summer is like for succulents. And in fact, that it helps them in many ways. And that's part of their natural cycle of, and then a few leaves fall off and those grow into entirely new plants. And is that really, and to what extent has the original plant died? If I take one of its little buds and then that grows into the next plant, and then I take one of those buds and that grows into the next one. And but all of those cycles we are also part of those cycles with the plants, and we have our own experience of that. But also what you were saying, Bill, about the pumpkin made me think about, I've got a couple pumpkins myself to carve up, and I'm from the Midwest where I'm used to you have to carve your pumpkins a few days before Halloween, specifically 2 or 3 days before Halloween, because, well, you could do it the day of, but that's about how long you get before the thing starts to deteriorate and just kind of fall apart. And that's when it looks the best. If you want to have a really good looking carved pumpkin, you only get a couple days in the Midwest. And Margaret, who my partner, lives in Las Vegas, and they had their pumpkin carving party last week. And I thought, oh, well, those pumpkins aren't going to survive at all. But I suppose in the desert where all the water just instantly gets sucked right out of them, they shrivel up, of course, because they get dried out. But then they don't fall apart all that much. So their pumpkins probably do actually survive a whole week. And we import these rituals. We say, oh, you need the pumpkins, and in America you also need the corn and things, and and we import all of these things that are these earth-centered, often very European, and indeed the Celts, they were also European, and we take those and we try to adapt them to this new area. And to some extent, and even in that, we try to impose the 4 seasons of Central Europe onto the desert, and try to demand that we understand the weather here in that context. But there is one thing that is the same, and that is that we all have an equinox, that balance between the day and the night that always happens everywhere, and the solstices too, of course. And so there are some things that we do all share across the earth.
So Alec, you're talking about plants dying and then being replanted and growing again. Kind of reminds me of when people that we love and care for die, parts of them are planted in our beings, and that's how they live on in our beings. So in that way, they don't die.
All right, Bill, how about one last one, and then we'll break and have our discussion out in the lively parish hall. Yeah.
I used to, when it comes to the whole thing of they'll always live if they're just in our hearts. No, I want a better deal than that. But there is the thing that happens when you suddenly see yourself acting maybe as your parents do, maybe because you're older now and it makes more sense to you to do it in a different way. I'm fully ready to at least have a nice sit down with the relatives, or the part of them that is left behind like an answering machine while the rest of them goes on into their new life. My afterworld is a crowded place, and although it doesn't necessarily make complete sense on paper. It makes sense to me. The idea, I've always disliked the idea of they'll always live with they're in our hearts. It's, to me, it's more the reminder that says, this was precious. This may fade someday and do the whole Shinto thing where we all sort of merge into one big tree or something. But for now, it's good to remember in memory, but it's also good to say that that memory is tied to the spirit somewhere along the way. So I'm expecting, what's that line in the Bible? Through a glass darkly. We see this world through a glass darkly, but someday I'm going to see clearly. It's like I can live with a gap between myself and the ancestors. For one thing, dear God, can you contemplate the true horrendous level of the nagging that would happen all the way going back to the Stone Age? What? Turn down the heat. And by the way, your buffalo hunting skills are atrocious. The amount, sometimes the gap between worlds is just so that we can grow our own personalities, I think. At any rate, I hope all of you eat well and are with the people that you love throughout this holiday season.
Thank you, Bill. And with that, let us continue the cycle as always and liven ourselves up perhaps with a bit of coffee for coffee hour.